I wanted to share about this idea of forgiveness. So many of us hold unforgiveness in our hearts. We feel that someone has wronged us, that they should have known better, done better, been different. We're assuming that who they are and what they've learned, that we're comparing it in relation to who we are and what we've learned and what we value. Again, it's just coming to see that we're all inherently different. We've all been taught different things. We all see the world differently. That there is no one right or wrong way of being. That everyone's living out their own story of them. When we watch our own minds, we see how almost all of our thoughts and interactions are all about us. We may be relating with another, but we're relating in terms of how it affects me, who that person is for me, what they can do for me, how they see me, what they think of me. We're not really there just with the other person, seeing that other person. We're looking at them as if they were an object in the story of me, using them in some sort of way. It sounds harsh, but when we observe ourselves and the interactions that happen around us, we see that that is what many of us do, almost all of us do. Yeah. And so when it comes to forgiveness, it's just seeing that there's really nothing to forgive. No one can harm us. They're just living out their own story of what they've been taught is right and wrong. And when we watch ourselves, we see that so many of the things that we've done that we regret or maybe hurt others in some way, it wasn't coming from a place of us intentionally wanting to hurt them, to make them suffer in some way. It was just an unknowing at the time, that we didn't know any better, and that we were living from our own fear. So much of the pain that I felt guilty of for so long, it wasn't necessarily that I didn't know any better, but it was fear, it was hurt inside, and I didn't know what to do with the hurt that I felt inside. So I cast it out on others. I had these beliefs of that I hurt people, that I'm inherently bad in some way. And then I would cast all these ideas onto others. Act from that place within me that felt unworthy and wasn't able to give love. And that's pretty much what everyone is doing, really. When we watch and observe and become aware of our own experience, we see that almost all of those things that we do are coming from a place of fear and hurt inside. And we don't know how to deal with it. We don't feel good enough in some way. We feel unworthy, so we try to prove ourselves. We try to become this thing. We try to be successful. And to be successful, we feel we have to put other people down or compete with them in some way. Or that we want to be loved, loving. So we try to do all these things to prove ourselves worthy of them. When to others it may look like we just have a big inflated ego that thinks it's such a loving being. And it can manifest in all those different ways, but we see it comes from this deep, deep root of not feeling like we're inherently good enough, we're inherently worthy. when we see that that's where all of these painful, bad actions are coming from in the world, we look around and see all these horrible stories of violence and killing. It doesn't make any sense to us. But when we take it inside and go within our own story, we see how, yes, there's so much pain. There's pain inside us too, and when we don't know how to deal with it, it can explode in all these different ways. Not feeling heard, not feeling seen, not feeling enough, feeling like we always have to try to become something to be worthy, not feeling free to fully express ourselves. We see that we too could be capable of all these different things, that we might have even been born them. We had no control over which body mind we were born into. We could have easily been born into theirs. We could have had their parents and their surroundings and been just like them. Really, it's total chance in a way. There might be something more to it, but really, when we see how we could have easily been them, forgiveness becomes, in a way, the only option. And when forgiveness is the only option, there's nothing to forgive. And in the nothing to forgive, it's not like we accept everything as it is in a passive stance and let people kill other people and do these things because that's just who they are. No, that's not it. We can still take action to stop it, to work with them, to attempt to help them to see the world differently. We still take action, we don't become passive. But we're not approaching them from a place of judgment, affirming for them once again that they are not enough, they are unworthy. We see the root cause of so much human suffering, and we see that root cause plays out in all sorts of ways. Is a source of all of the evils, really, in the world, if we can call them such. And when we can see that, we can approach change with a loving, open heart that's not judging and condemning. That's affirming for them who they really are. This loving presence, this unique being. So forgiveness comes naturally in that place. And it feels like it's the most healing thing. When someone comes at us with attack and blame and shaming us, it doesn't make us want to change. We think that it makes us want to change, but it doesn't. It just makes us feel more shameful, more wrong. It reaffirms a story of inherent wrongness. It doesn't heal us. When we're approached not as the enemy, the one that hurt someone or did something bad, but instead we're approached with a loving, open, accepting heart. It tells us it's okay, that we are enough. We are not our actions. We are so much more than what happens through us. That is when change finally feels inspired to be. So we forgive to let go of the stories in our own mind, all of the judgments in our own mind, all of our own pain of all those stories that we're holding on to. But we also forgive as an invitation to help others heal, so that we can all come back into that sense of loving presence that is really at the core of all of our beings, no matter how our life plays out and our personality shows up. At the core, there's a loving essence, and it brings us back to that essence.